Okay, everyone, it's about time to get started here. We want to take just a few seconds here and welcome you to this webinar. We think we're going to present a lot of information that's pretty sensitive, some information that probably you haven't been exposed to before. What we're going to do is we're going to cover a few topics that are going to tell you exactly about how to build your business. But before we get into all that, let's do a few house cleaning things. Let me introduce you to my good friend and business partner, Chris Wilson. Chris, say hello and tell us a little bit about where you're from, what you do, all that kind of good stuff.
All right, well, thanks, Bill. My name's Chris Wilson. I live in New Jersey, a very small town called Greenwich with population of just over 450 people. My background is a high school teacher in physical education and an athletic coach. 15 years ago, it seems like it's been a while since I've been in that industry, but I absolutely enjoyed working with children, working with athletes, and I looked at network marketing because I just wanted to make some extra money. Never with the thought that I would ever be a full-time network marketer, become a professional entrepreneur or anything like that, but just one thing led to another. I found that a lot of the skills that I developed in teaching translated directly, instantly, right over to the network marketing, and I just found a passion in it. So fast forward 15 years later, I have a network marketing business. I love this industry, and along the way, I met Bill probably just over 10 years ago, and we've been doing some great things together. We've building some great teams, but we really have honed in on what we feel, what we're going to discuss tonight, which is retention. Our company is called the Retention Zone for a reason. We feel that to be successful in network marketing, it's all about retaining the people you have, making the people better, and not getting on that hamster wheel of recruiting and getting the frustration and wondering why your business isn't growing, why you can't keep people in. Is it the company? Is it network marketing? Is it me? I remember feeling all those feelings inside of me at different stages of my career, but now we're to the point where we've developed some really awesome training that doesn't matter what company you're in or what your background is. If you're serious about network marketing, this is groundbreaking information that you're not going to find anywhere else. But enough of me, Bill. How about we talk a little bit about you?
Well, my story is not too different than yours. I mean, you were a professional. I was a professional. My skill field is actually veterinary medicine. I practiced veterinary medicine for 17 years, had multiple clinics operating at one time, figured out I was definitely on that hamster wheel, full speed. Spending more time managing clinics than I was actually practicing my profession. And so about 24 years ago, I stepped off into the direct sales or network marketing industry just to kind of test the water. Found out that it was everything that I had hoped it was going to be. But I'm like you, Chris. I found out that down the road, what happened with most people, especially as I was working with them, they seem to not be able to keep people involved in their business like they really should. They spend a whole lot of time. They'd invest a whole lot of effort. They'd spend a whole lot of money really working on sponsoring some good quality, some great people. But because of an inability to keep them focused on building a business long enough to make money, retention just didn't happen. And it's my belief, and I think what we'll discuss further on in this webinar, it's my belief that it has nothing to do with how fast you get a paycheck in someone's hands. Retention is not about paychecks. It's not about money. It's not about comp plans. It's not about great products. It's not about any of that. Retention is about relationships, and that's kind of what it all boils down to. I think that's the basics. So that's enough about me. I come from a small town in Texas, a little town called New Waverly, population 983. So I mean, we're not very different from each other. Pretty similar. So there you go. Back to you, bud.
Well, I think some of the things you said. I've always gone through my career, and I always thought to myself when I was with a particular company, why do they teach things like this? Or it just doesn't make sense. Why are we building things so fast? I really don't understand what's going on. Or I know that people I'm working with really don't understand what's going on. But we've got to get that paycheck in their pocket right away. We've got to get people sponsored right away, or else they're going to quit. They're going to lose their excitement, and your chances of retaining them are going to go down. And I never quite understood that, because as an athletic coach, if you wanted to have a successful team, you had to prepare. You had to put your preparation time in. I mean, wrestling in our community is a big thing. And as small as community we are in, we get about 1,000 people at each wrestling match. So it's a big stage. And when you go out there and you're wrestling and you're one-on-one on the mat, you want to be prepared. And the last thing that I could do as a coach is bring someone in that doesn't know much about wrestling and just put them on a mat within their first week. They've never wrestled before. I mean, that would be just embarrassing for that individual. So when I was thinking about my experience as a teacher, and then I watched over the years of what was being taught in network marketing, it just didn't make sense to take people that have never owned a business before, that have never been in direct sales before, and to throw them to the wolves and build a business as fast as possible in the first 30, 60 days, and then set them up for embarrassment and failure, and you'll wonder why these individuals, quit, and you wonder why it's so difficult to try to build a business using those strategies.
Well, I mean, it's obvious to both of us now. It's obvious that what we do is we take the most difficult part of building a network marketing business. That's the expansion of the business model itself, the transfer of the business concept from one person to the next, and we give that to the brand new guy. And we expect them to be able to go, guy or gal, excuse me, and expect them to be able to go do it just by handing them a getting started manual. Here, read this and go have a meeting at your house. Invite 50 people, because maybe 5 will show up. Now, if that's not starting out with a defeatist attitude, I don't know what is. And so we give that part of the business to the brand new guy. And we never spend the time with them that they need to at least know where they're coming from, what type of friends they really do have, who do you know that's successful, who do you know that wants to be successful, who do you know that wishes they could change their lifestyle, who do you know that's sick and tired of doing what they're doing. We don't really spend any time working on those things, helping that person realize that contacting Joe this way is not the same contact technique you're going to use on Sam, because he's coming from a totally different point of view. And we don't spend any time, and our industry doesn't spend any time teaching that stuff. And they spend a whole lot of time talking about how great their comp plan is, how great our products are. Oh, but our executive team with our company, they're the best. And come on. That's not going to help anybody build any business at all. What we want to do, we want to help people understand what their comp plan is about. I mean, every company has a compensation plan, and if you're going to truly get started building your business, you need to know your compensation plan. What is the most simple building block that compensation plan's got? Because if you understand that, now you know how to work long term to build a true successful business. So they've got to understand the compensation plan. But past that, nobody teaches self-development. You and I both know that's what it all boils down to. Building a business, if you're going to become successful in any business, you've got to become a better person. Your current income now is directly related to the individual that you are. If you want to increase that income, you're going to have to become better as a person. Oh, we know that. I mean, and we just apply that to the network marketing model. We teach self-development. But in addition to that goal setting and all that stuff, we teach accountability, which is obviously important. And then in addition to that, the final and most important step may be the self-development, the accountability, then the leadership development, understanding how to actually lead a team. All that comes into play, and that's exactly what we want to expose to people as they're going to build and retain folks in their organization.
I agree. I always had an issue in this industry internally that there was always these systems on how to recruit people and all these videos and how you prospect and network. But if I always go back to what I know best is coaching, and I go back to wrestling, there was a lot more to having a successful team other than teaching them how to actually wrestle. I mean, there was a lot of mental things you had to do. There's a lot of confidence. There's a lot of self-image that you had to work on that really wasn't in the job description of a wrestling coach. You would think you would just teach wrestling. And that's the issue I always had internally with network marketing is all these companies just taught how to sell and to do all those things,
Yep.
but they never worked on what really separated the good athletes from the average athletes from the poor athletes. And that's the mental side, the personal development. I mean, there's as much personal development in any successful organization, whether you're in wrestling, whether you're in business, whether you're an employee. If you want to be successful, you have to, better yourself. I think we were reading in Dr. Staples' book, Think Like a Winner. 4 out of 5 individuals have poor self-image of themselves. That's 80% of the people that you're going to come in contact have a poor self-image of themselves. So we know through experience that you can teach them the how-tos till the cows come home, but once they have some kind of difficulty because they have a poor self-image, they're done. They're toast. They'll never call you back. You'll never see them again.
Yeah, they disappear. You don't know what happens to them. They hit the first speed bump, and because somebody has held their hand at every other speed bump in their life, or if they came to a speed bump, they thought, oh, well, you're not supposed to be doing this anymore. Let's do something different. Now they apply that same psychology to building a network marketing business. They say, oh, I'm not supposed to be doing this anymore, so I guess I'll quit.
Yeah.
See? And what happens is we get involved in an industry where the companies that back every organization's growth, the company, their focus is to move product or to provide service. That's it. I mean, let's be totally upfront here. The company doesn't really care whether you succeed or fail, so long as they can get you to move a little product. Mm-hmm. And if they can get you to move a little product, and this guy over here to move a little product, and this guy over here to move a little product, then product movement is happening for them. That's where their profit comes from. You building a business, your profit comes from bringing people into your organization, creating a relationship with them, and working together long term to build an income. That's how the field makes money. And the two just the company doesn't teach that process. The company teaches product movement. That's been my experience. And if you're involved with an organization where all of your teaching on how to build your business comes from the company, I guarantee you what you're being taught is, oh, well, this guy quits? Well, he was going to quit anyway. Go get another one. Oh, that guy quit? Oh, he was going to quit anyway. Go sponsor another one. Oh, well, how many names do you have on your list? How many new people have you met this week? What, you're not going out and meeting new people? You need to go do something different. Go do something different, because that's the only way you're going to meet new people. Get out and meet new people. Put another 50 names on your names list. With another 50 names, you may find one. Oh, come on. It's much easier to grow the person that you have sponsored than it is to find another seed to plant. It's just much easier. Take care of the plant you got in the ground.
That's right.
And plant another seed. So that's what this whole concept is about, is retention. Now, I'm going to shift gears with you, and I want you to talk about a couple of things here, because I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. So open your mind up and think for just a minute.
Okay.
As people build their business, there's certain thought processes that they have to go through. You bring this brand new person into your organization. They know nothing about the industry. They know little to nothing really about the company they just joined, other than what you've told them. And so you've got somebody here that's going to start their business, and they're pretty unconscious of what they're really involved in. Is that true or false?
That's true. They don't have a clue.
So expand on that. Tell me how you would walk there. I mean, there's a certain thought process. You and I have discussed this, that we think people have to go through. There's about 4 stages that you and I have kind of finally worked out here that people have to go through. They start out unconsciously thinking about, unconsciously, you know what I'm talking about, because you're much more of an expert at this stuff than I am. So kind of walk me through that one more time, because I think this is important that we talk to people about this tonight.
Well, in the beginning there, unconscious incompetence, we want to call it.
That's it.
They don't understand, they don't understand, they're unaware that they even lack the skill or ability. They're unaware of even what they can do. They're just unconscious. They have no idea what's going on.
They know nothing. They haven't.
No.
They just got excited about a possibility, really. And now we're going to kick them out here and make them go try to build a business. They're, what did you call it? Unconsciously incompetent.
Yes.
And we expect them to be successful. And what's even scarier is they expect themselves to be successful, and when they aren't, uh-oh.
Well, and at the same time, Bill, they will come with perceptions already in their subconscious that they think of how it might actually start going, even though they don't know anything, and even though probably if we talk through those perceptions or beliefs or whatever they have in their core subconscious, they're probably based off non-factual information,
Yep.
non-experiences, or if they are experiences, they were experiences of doing it the wrong way. So sometimes you'll have someone that has no mental images at all of network marketing, so they're really unconscious. But then you will have some individuals that are still unconscious, but they have some type of images already in their head, but still they're unconscious.
And so here's this brand new guy. He steps in, he fills out his application, he joins the company, and if we're going to really focus on retaining them, keeping them involved in the business, we need to work them to the next stage that you talked about. I think, because I'm going off of memory here now, the first step was unconscious incompetence, and I think you call the next stage conscious incompetence. Now they become aware that they're really not as good as they thought they were at going and building what they thought was going to be their business. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Now they kind of know what's going on, but they understand they don't have the skills to go make it happen. And, and even their sponsors probably made them aware that they possess all these skills and talents within them that someone else can see within them, and maybe they don't. And then at the same time, they know they're excited, but they just don't have those skills yet developed or anything. So I think this is a really important stage of a person's growth and taking the transition and becoming into the more stable part of their development.
Well, I think this is where the ball is dropped most of the time, because once somebody comes consciously aware of the fact that they don't know exactly what they should be saying when, exactly how they should be talking when, exactly what they should be doing when, once they become consciously aware of those things, that's when they need a coach. That's when they need a mentor. That's when they need somebody there to build the relationship with them, to help them get over that hump of their incompetence. If you can get them over that hump of incompetence, you can get them to the next stage, and the next stage is where I think excitement really starts. The second stage is where they need us as a coach or a mentor the most. The next stage is when excitement really starts happening for them, and they become internally motivated themselves. And I think you'd label this actually a competent or consciously incompetent, or so. What did you call it? I forget.
Yeah, it's a conscious competence. And you said one thing that really struck me was this is when they can start to do things on their own, and they start to develop that internal motivation or the intrinsic motivation. Because what you find is that in the beginning, it's so much external motivation. They have to be plugged into all the hoopla of the company and get on those calls, because they just don't have their clear settings and guidance of what they need to do, and then they don't have the skills. But when you can start to invest time into them as a coach, invest in personal development, invest in themselves becoming better, and getting them on a duplicatable system of that personal growth and development, then they start to get that, they start to become conscious and competent of what's happening, and then they get that external or internal motivation where they can start to do things on your own. And that's when you start to get those people locked in where they're starting to get roots in their business, and they're not going anywhere because they're starting to see success. They're starting to become a better person, and they can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel that they're progressing.
Good point. Really good point. And so they start getting this intrinsic motivation. Everything starts coming from inside, and then what happens is, as the more they really start paying attention to some of the things that their coach is actually sharing with them, then they reach a point, and this is the only one I really remember about these four things you talked about. They reach a point where they're unconscious again, but they're completely competent. They're doing everything necessary to be successful building their business, but it all happens without them having to say, oh, wait, do I have to do this? What is the next step? What's the third step in the process? Is there a process? What does I need to do now? What do I say to this kind of person? What am I supposed to say to that kind of person? They don't have to think about that anymore because unconsciously they're totally aware of what they need to do when. And that's the only one I remember out of the four that you talked about. But to me, that's when you've really developed and gotten a person to the point where now they're truly in the first stage of becoming a leader inside the organization, is when they can operate unconsciously and competently, right?
Yeah, I think, that's the key, where everything's just automatic. It's like, when the alarm clock goes off, you automatically wake up. You automatically go through your routine, whatever it is in the bathroom. You automatically have a set routine when you get stuff ready downstairs, and you prepare your breakfast a certain way, and you have your stuff ready, and you get in your car and you drive your certain route, and everything's automatic. And when you get to that point in network marketing, you're writing your goals every night. You're spending, 60 minutes on your personal development every day. You're contacting your upline. You're doing all the things without even thinking about it. It's just a habit now. And it takes a little bit of time to move from that stage 2 to the stage 4 that we're talking about, of becoming unconscious, where you don't have to think about it. And when that happens and you start to duplicate down in your group, then it's lights out, because you're retaining a lot of people and you're retaining them on solid success principles. And when that starts duplicating, and this is what I've always taught myself and always said to myself is, I never understood why you had to, you had to grow fast in order to grow fast. I always thought, and I saw this with athletes, the slower you go with athletes in the beginning, the better understanding they have the fundamentals, the faster they grow on the back end, the faster the team grows, the more success that they have. And I think when you have those expectations up front with individuals, that there's going to be this seesaw tip. And once you start to become unconscious, man, it just skyrockets, and it goes faster than you can imagine, because everybody knows what's going on unconsciously without thinking about it.
Yep. Here's now I want to segue now into actually why we're having this webinar, and I'm going to lay a few things out to make some points here. Point number one that I want to make is I want to go back to that. What was the first level you called? Unconsciously incompetent. Yeah. So we bring somebody into the business. They're unconsciously incompetent. If we keep looking at that new person as they are, all we recognize is they're incompetent. They're never going to make. If that's the way we see them, then we never help them progress to the next stage. What we've got to do is we've got to be able to see them, I think, at stage 3, which is when they're reaching this point where they're consciously competent. We've got to see them at that point so that we don't give up on them before they get to stage 2, because stage 2 is the only point where they're going to start listening to us. They're not going to listen to us when they're unconsciously incompetent. We've got to see them successful over in stage 3 to hang with them long enough for them to get to stage 2 where they're willing to soak up and listen and learn what we're willing to teach. And that's part of what we want to talk about in the course that we're going to be outlining here in just a minute is you've got to hang with people no matter how incompetent they appear. I don't know a softer way to say that. Because they're going to appear like they don't know what they're doing, and that's okay.
Yes.
If you think about it, it's great that they don't know what they're doing, because now they're going to reach a point where they're totally willing to learn. And so that's the first thing that we'll talk about here in just a minute. The second thing we're going to talk about is, okay, once they get to the point where they're willing to listen to us as a coach, what is it we teach them? Do we teach them throw some more wood against the wall? Go sponsor somebody else? What do we teach them at that point? Walk me through some of that stuff, because people want to know exactly what's going to be going on here and what we're talking about, what we're going to offer at the end of this whole webinar. So segue into that if you can, just a minute, Chris.
I think where we are right now in this webinar, when I look back as we've been building over the years our businesses, is we've identified everything that we've talked about, but there was really nowhere to go, or nothing. There's nothing out there that was a duplicatable system. There was nothing that was duplicatable in personal development, and there was nothing that was duplicatable in accountability systems. So what we had to do is we had to develop it ourselves.
Yep.
And, you know, when you look at a lot of the relationships, I mean, we have relationships with people that are in other direct sales businesses, and and they're feeling the same challenges. There's nothing out there. Like, if we wanted to go and do personal development, yeah, there was a lot of generic trainers, but they've never even built a network marketing business
That's
before.
right.
And we saw the biggest problem was not the excuse me, was not the information. It was the application of the information to the direct sales business.
Yeah, their information was great.
Yeah.
Awesome information. But so you got the information. Now, what do you do with it? And see, that's the point. That's where I want you to really expand. So go ahead. You're right. You're hitting the nail right on the head. Keep going.
Yeah, so, you know, and then now, you know, we're sitting and we're discussing, and we said, you know, we need to develop this for our business. And we not only need to develop it for a business, but we need to make sure this thing is duplicatable and it's around when we're not around. You know, that it's not based off the leaders, but it's based off a system, a personal development system. And then once we had that developed, we recognized, and I was just reading the other day in Brian Tracy's book, Eat That Frog, a great book on procrastination, that 2% of the population can do anything unsupervised. Only 2%. So that means 98% of the people coming to their business needed constant supervision to get things done. And if we didn't develop an accountability system, and an accountability system wasn't to make sure they were doing their thing. I mean, to find things wrong, it was to make sure they were doing what they needed to do to get their goals done. And just by having that little bit kept them focused. Yep. So while we were having our discussion, we said, you know what, we need to make this duplicatable. So we can teach our individuals, when they start to get that unconscious part about them, that we get them in a routine that they're entering their information, their daily accountability of what they were working on, into a database online, that their mentor who are coaches that were working with them could actually see the information daily, real time, and see how they evaluated themselves at the end of the day, and then have a conversation weekly about what happened. How did it work out? What were the hurdles that you didn't identify that we need to, you know, identify and do a better job at? Or are we not spending the time in the right areas where we need to reach the goals that we needed to meet this week? So when we developed that system and put it together, it was amazing, the results. And then we started to have some of our friends saying, well, what are you doing? Can we get involved in this? I mean, and it just kind of, this is where we are with our webinar right now. We're just really launching this information to let everybody know what we have, because we just couldn't find it out there. We just always heard the company corporate jargon story, the low retention story. And you know what? I'm a sports guy, Bill, and right now it's football season, but you know, you have 16 games in the season, and I don't know any owner that has, I mean, if you look at Jerry Jones in Dallas, he has $1 billion wrapped up just in his stadium. But I don't know any owner that would accept 20% of the time that coach is going to win. So out of 16 games, that coach is going to win 3 games. He's going to go 13. He's going to have 3 wins and 13 losses. And do you think Jerry Jones is going to sit there and accept that? That is ludicrous. It doesn't happen. But see, in network marketing, we accept it all the time. The leaders accept it and the companies accept it, and it's a loser mentality. It's just a very poor mentality. I mean, if you have 10% or 5% or 15% retention, why isn't it greater? What is holding you back? And if you're so loyal to the people who are teaching you, ask yourself this question: why aren't they teaching you how to increase it? Why haven't they identified themselves that this is a concern and we need to increase it? And what is their action plan on increasing it? Or is it the same status quo over and over and over again? I get very passionate, Bill, when we talk about this, because we have a lot of time invested over 15 years as being a professional in this industry. And I think, and I know as well as you, it's time to change the game for not only our group, but for all the other groups out there that want to get this information and want to change this industry and change the way it's done.
For anybody that's even serious about our industry, that's what this is all about. I mean, you approached it from the sports viewpoint. Let's approach it from just a normal businessman's point of view. If you owned a business and you had 100 customers in your business and only 20% of them ever came back into your store the second time, how long do you think you're going to stay in business? Come on, if you don't keep those customers coming back, if you don't retain customers, you go out of business. And why you don't accept that in the retail industry, you don't accept it in business, you don't accept it in sports. Why in the world accept it in the network marketing industry? And so we look at that concept and we said, okay, what is the most important step? And I think you and I have talked about this. The most important step that anybody can do from this point forward, from this moment, this webinar, this point forward, most important thing you can do right now is find out how to retain yourself. Yep. If you can't figure out how to keep yourself focused on building your business, keep yourself focused on your goals, keep yourself part of an accountability program, if you can't figure out how to do that, how are you going to help anybody else do it? And so that's the first module we put together.
That's correct. I know there's individuals probably watching this thinking, okay, what are the facets to retention? How can I increase my retention? And we're going to talk about that, not in this webinar, because that's senseless until you know how to retain yourself. It's senseless to talk about the facets that lend to high retention or low retention. So yeah, that's the number one, that's the first module we put together, and it's really an incredible module. I mean, when we look at the software we're using, it's actually a college-based online software that is self-guided. So you can actually go in and you start with lesson 1, and I believe, Bill, we have 15 or 16 lessons in here, and it's self-guided. So you can go as fast or as slow as you want, but it's based off your comprehension, because you get past lesson 1 until you take a quiz of comprehension and pass it 100% before you unlock number 2. And this is why I had an issue when you look at a lot of the generic training personal development systems out there that we were looking at. It was just, okay, you enrolled into this system, I'm going to send you a video each week, but you know what? I'm not worrying about if you're comprehending it. I'm just fulfilling my end of the bargain. I'm just going to send you the video, and what you do with it is up to you. And that's not what we wanted to create with the system that we put together.
Yeah, the retention zone was all about, if you provide the information, that's only one piece of the puzzle. Once you provide the information, now you've got to make sure the person receiving the information understood it. That's the second piece of the puzzle. The third piece of the puzzle is you want to determine the level of understanding that they actually had. That's the third piece. That's the examination part that you're talking about. And then, okay, the fourth piece is who's going to hold me accountable? Where do I track my progress? If I can't track my progress in this learning module, what good is the learning module ever going to do me? So there's got to be an ability to track your progress in that model. So there's the 4 pieces of that whole learning process. Yeah, there's 15 different lessons within the first course, which is retain yourself first. There's 15 parts to that, and those parts, there's a lot of information in each one of those parts, and each part builds on the previous part. So that if you don't really understand part 1, part 2 is not going to make a whole lot of sense to you.
That's right.
And if you don't understand part 1 and part 2, there's no sense in looking at part 4, because you're going to be lost. And so that's why we put that module together. That's why that whole system was put together in that fashion. Now let's do this. Obviously, we're offering people the ability to access this information. And so if we give them that ability, do they just get one shot at the target, or what happens here?
No, it's unlimited. So it's a 40. I mean, it's amazing the price that we're putting onto this. It's $47 for this 16-course module. Within this module, we understand there's a lot of people learn in different ways. There's videos, there's audios, there's text downloads, and it's all right there. You can watch this as many times as you want. You can go through it, and really, you really have to go through it a couple times, because I know when I first took this myself the first time, there was so much. It was kind of overwhelming, because our goal is when you leave this course, you have a routine that you're following daily, that you're making yourself better, and you're moving, closer to your goals on where you need to be. but it's impossible for someone to go through that and to get everything down the first time. I know when I went through it 2, 3, 4 times, there were so many things that I was amazed that I didn't pick up, or I just didn't register with. I just didn't hear it, I guess, the first couple times.
Well, and that happens to both of us, because I know I've watched it and actually listened. I've actually downloaded the audios, burned them to my iPod, and I listen to them all the time. The audio lessons. The video lessons were just awesome, but for me, audio works better for me, because I have a long commute every day back and forth into town, and so what I do is I just plug that audio in, and I'm constantly absorbing. And I've caught myself actually listening to a lesson 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and the 8th time I hear something, I probably hear the same thing, but I absorb it totally different than I would have the first time around. So you're right, and that's the value of having lifetime access to the process, the lifetime access to the program. That's the value. Now, how much was it again, Chris?
It was $47 one time. Yeah. For that one module.
Less than the price of a good meal.
That's exactly right.
Yep. So I'm sure that there's going to be some sort of further information that they're going to be getting as to how they actually go find this information, how they sign up for it, that kind of stuff, right?
Sure. Yeah. You'll be able to click right below, and if you want to purchase it, you just click the buy now, and you can purchase it right away. As soon as you purchase it, the payment gets processed. Then you'll be sent a confirmation email with instructions to go set up your profile with our software, and you can, get started. You'll get a key to unlock that particular course for yourself, and you'll see that there's a ton of courses on there. And when you're ready for those other courses, and if you see that this is adding a value, then they're all there for you. But I think what I'm excited about, Bill, is when we put this together, we put it together from the standpoint coming from professionals in the field that are building a business every day with the challenges that we face every single day, and we wanted to have the tools that fit into our schedule of what we do. I mean, like you said, there's not a lot of people that give you information that you can download and burn copies of and listen to it over and over again on your own. Not a lot of people do that. But being successful as a network marketer, man, that's what you need to do to be successful.
Yeah, it's repetition. You and I both know that if you're ever going to get good at anything, you've got to change the way you think, because the way you think got you where you are right now. Right. And if you're not satisfied with where you are, you need to change the way you think. The only way you're going to do that is to reprogram what goes in, and that's the only way you're going to reprogram the way you think. So that's part of it. Now, one final question, then we'll wrap this all up. Obviously, this isn't the end. I heard you say a minute ago, once you lock in this module, you can see some of the other ones that are available. Retention Zone offers a lot of different things. This is just an introductory course. Learning how to retain yourself first, that's just the beginning, because there's several other facets that have to be explored if you're going to get really good at building a business. And so do we you and I just disappear after this is over? Does the program stay around? Tell me what else could happen from this point forward? What else is actually out there already, and what else is in the works?
Okay, well, out there right now, when you go and let's say you purchase the $47 package, you go into the software and you can see all the other direct sales. But once you learn how to retain yourself, then we have to identify, we call it High Retention Boot Camp. We need to identify every single aspect that keeps you in a low retention model and doesn't get you to the high retention model. Once we can identify them and you understand them, then we can solve it we can give you solutions on how to solve them to increase your retention in all those facets. So that's our boot camp. And then after the boot camp, we have a great module that is a business plan mastery module. And when we talk about from a business standpoint, and Bill, you have several traditional businesses. When you go to a bank and you want to start a business, there has to be a business plan. They want to know what you're going to do over the next 5 years, how you're going to do it, what's your income projections, how you're going to advertise, how you're going to do all that before you get started. So you have your expectations, and the bank can say, you know what, this is a good investment to invest with this Bill Bergfeld with these businesses. I think he has everything set to be successful. And I think that was one of the major things that are missing in network marketing is no one writes out a business plan. Right. if you want to be somewhere 3 years from now making X amount of money, how do you write a business plan out compared to how your compensation plan works? So that's a whole module within itself. And then a lot of people talk about attraction marketing. We have a model that we call retention marketing, because I think a lot of people, when they think retention, they think, well, that's when I work with the person when they're already in the business. But retention starts the minute you open your mouth, or actually when you start to prepare to get in front of your prospects. That's when retention starts. So we have a retention marketing module in there. And then we have, how do you implement accountability into your group? It's one thing to know about accountability, but how do you implement it in your group? How do you get them to accept accountability? Because you can't tell them, I'm automatically going to hold you accountable. How do you get them to accept that and want to be held accountable and just, thrive to do that and reach their goals? And then we have a module coming up on retention leadership within your group. We have the daily accountability module is already there. So you will instantly, once you understand accountability, you'll go in there and start using that module, and it's in a database. So if you start in direct sales today, 3 years from now, you will know where you were and what your goals were every 90 days, what you're doing every single day. The database doesn't lie. And that's why this module works so good. It's not you're on the phone and this is what I did, but I can't really show you. I can't really tell you this is who I talked to. But when you put it down in a database, you can't hide behind it, because it's right there in front of you. You're either doing it or you're not doing it. We got to figure out why you're not doing it and what skills we have to help you, create so you do it at an effective manner. But they're just the beginning. I mean, we got more courses. We've been talking in the works, and we're always going to be putting more courses in there. But I know, Bill, we've discussed this. Our philosophy is put together a system so you have a system. So you don't have to be that person that we used to be, where you go to this seminar, and then you go to that seminar and go to that seminar, and then when you look back, well, how come I didn't implement anything from the first seminar and I'm on my fourth one already? Why haven't I implemented anything? Because there's a gap from the information to the application. Because I'll guarantee you that a lot of them are probably saying some of the same stuff, but they can't get through to you on how you apply. So if we can put together a system where you don't have to go anywhere else anymore, and you can have a high retention system, and now you can grow your group. You don't have to worry about developing something for yourself. Now your whole business from here to Kingdom Come is going to have a high retention model from people who are in the industry using it themselves and making it as best as we can.
Yep. Our objective here, Chris, and I think you'll agree, we want to take people that are involved in our industry, and we don't care what business it is. We want to take people that are involved in our industry, teach them how to keep 60 to 70 people in their organization for a lifetime. Not lose 60 to 70%, keep 60 to 70%. We don't want them to be like the industry standard. We don't want them to retain 5% long term. Losing 95% of the people that join your group, that's ridiculous. Let's shoot an objective. Let's make a goal here of, let's work at finding out and figuring out and teaching everybody how to retain 95 out of 100 people that join. That's the objective.
Yeah.
So.
And well, I kind of didn't answer part of the question, but what's the next step after you take the $47 course? Like it. We have 3 different monthly plans depending on what your needs are. We've got, the beginning plan for the person that's a self-starter that can be self-guided. We've got the intermediate plan, the stage 2 plan, where you need some coaching, with some webinars. You need some people that you can talk to, bounce some questions off of like that. And then we have our stage 3 package, is the person that is really serious, but they need a mentor and a coach, and they just don't have one. And you have that package. When you have daily contact with a mentor who's been successful, it's going to help you out. And what I like about it is, we don't want people at that stage 3, the most expensive one. And I know some trainers will be looking like, man, why wouldn't you want it? We want everybody at the least expensive one, because that means we've done our job. That means they are self-sufficient. So you might have someone that might be stage 3 for a couple months. Then as they start to get it, because they get off to a fast start because they have that one-on-one coaching, and then they downgrade to the second, stage 2, where they only need a little bit of coaching, and then we put together an action plan with them so they get to stage 1. So now they're self-sufficient. Now they just have the database there. They have ongoing trainings and everything always popped in there. And now they're self-sufficient. That's what our goal is. We don't want to be personal mentors and coaches to individuals, but we'll help them out till they get to the point where they're their own coaches and they can teach their own group to be their own coaches.
Exactly. We want them in stage 1, not stage 3. We want them to be over there where they're doing everything that they need to be doing because they've learned how to do what needs to be done. They learned how to apply. They haven't just gotten the information. So, Chris, thanks for your time tonight. I know that your time is pretty valuable. I appreciate you taking time to jump on here with me. I hope those of you watching, I hope that you did get some valuable information, enough to know that we're serious about helping you build an organization that's going to be there long term so that your income's there long term. Chris, wind it up.
Well, thank you, Bill. I'm always honored and privileged if you ask me to be on any type of webinar or conference call or anything like that. And if anybody has any questions, just click the Contact Us button at the top. We're more than happy to answer any questions. And however many questions you need answered, where you feel comfortable that this information can help you out, then we'll be there for you. But think about this: for $47, what if this first initial package is what turns the light bulb on for yourself that says, you know what? How come no one has ever been teaching this? And we always ask ourselves that. It took us a while for us to get through that answer, why, and instead of trying to answer why, we said, you know what, we're just going to do it ourselves, because obviously the why isn't out there, and obviously people don't want to do this. They don't want to invest the time in doing this because they're, like you said, they're interested in selling their product. They're not interested in our retention.
Well, they're too busy throwing mud against the wall, trying to sponsor their next guy.
Exactly.
So
that's it on my end, Bill.
Yep.
I appreciate
Same here,
it.
Chris. Honor's mine. Thanks again for your time. Everybody have a good day. Let us hear